While Lu Ruyan was being wheeled into the operating room to donate her kidney to her white moonlight, Su Huayu, I was walking toward the airport terminal with my suitcase in hand. As they administered her anesthesia and the surgery was about to begin, I sat in the airport lounge. One by one, I deactivated and deleted all my social media accounts, removed my SIM card, and wiped every single photo from my phone. By the time her surgery concluded, my plane was steadily ascending. I looked out the window, watching the white clouds drift aimlessly, a faint bitter smile tugging at the corners of my lips. Lu Ruyan, from now on, the mountains are high and the rivers are long, we shall never meet again. Emerging from the operating room, Lu Ruyan gradually drifted back to consciousness. The moment she regained a sliver of awareness, she gripped the doctor's sleeve, desperately asking about Su Huayu's condition. Startled by her urgency, the doctor leaned down and replied, "The surgery was a success. He simply hasn't woken up yet. There is no need for such concern." However, hearing that Su Huayu was still unconscious made Lu Ruyan struggle to sit up. Though her body felt as if it were being torn apart from the surgery, she ignored the agony, throwing back the covers to get out of bed. The doctor rushed to steady her, pleading, "You've just come out of surgery, you cannot walk yet. Furthermore, Miss Lu, I'm afraid the child in your womb cannot be saved." Lu Ruyan heard none of it, nor did she care for the child. She stood up with trembling legs, muttering, "I have to see him. Only when I see him can I be at peace." Seeing she couldn't be stopped, the doctor called for a wheelchair. Finally, they wheeled her to Su Huayu's ward. When she saw him lying peacefully in bed, pale but out of danger, Lu Ruyan finally let out a long breath of relief. A sense of profound satisfaction filled her heart as she looked at him with tender eyes. "Huayu, though we cannot be together in this life, I am happy that a part of my body will be with you forever. Doesn't that mean we are together after all?" Lu Ruyan remained by Su Huayu's bedside until evening, refusing to leave for even a moment. It was only at dinner that she reluctantly stepped away, instructing her assistant to arrange for a hospital transfer. Her first priority was to terminate the pregnancy, then to conceal the kidney donation. She could never let Su Huayu know that she was the donor. If he knew, it would surely break his heart. 2 days after the transfer, Su Huayu regained consciousness. Lu Ruyan was more overjoyed than he was, calling him every day to meticulously check on everything from his meals to the temperature of his bed. But that day it rained. Su Huayu went to bed early, and Lu Ruyan suddenly realized she had forgotten about me. During those days, she hadn't received a single message from me. In the past, whenever I went on business trips, I would always text to check on her or call to report my status. But this time, many days had passed without a single word. Lu Ruyan hurriedly dialed my number, only to hear the automated operator, "The number you have dialed is currently unavailable." Refusing to accept it, she opened WeChat, only to find that her messages couldn't be delivered. The account was shown as deactivated. A surge of panic rose in her chest. She immediately called the housekeeper. "Is he at home?" "Miss, the young master left the house 7 days ago and hasn't returned since." "Didn't you know?" 7 days ago was the day of my surgery, when I was donating my kidney to Su Huayu. How could he have known? So, I had left without a word. Had he discovered something? Lu Ruyan felt a sharp pang in her heart, a sense of suffocation and dread turned her face ashen. She felt as though something vital was slipping away forever. Where could he have gone? Lu Ruyan brooded for a moment before calling her assistant, her voice betraying a trace of panic. "Go ask my family where Ji Boda went." As the assistant left to obey, she sat in silence for a long time, trying to find a clue. Did he leave anything behind before he went? She racked her brain until she suddenly remembered the box I had left for her. At the time, I told her it was an early birthday gift, given 2 weeks in advance. It was indeed unusual. Why give it so early? Where had she put it? A hazy memory surfaced. She had been preparing for surgery then, completely indifferent to me, so she had casually handed it to her assistant. Realizing this, Lu Ruyan snapped, "Stop by the hospital on your way. Bring that box I gave you last time." Staring out the window, a vague sense of forearm gripped her. She began to replay my unusual behavior over the recent days. She remembered seeing me throw everything into the trash with her own eyes. My attitude then had been cold, my words indifferent. "I'm not angry. I just don't need them anymore." Later, when she pressed for answers, I had remained silent. When she tried to hug me, I stopped her with a single sentence: "He was my college classmate." At that moment, Lu Ruyan had stiffly changed the subject to avoid the issue. Had I known everything even then? But she felt she had done nothing suspicious, so she hadn't given it much thought. She recalled the last time she saw me. When she said she was going on a business trip, I had simply replied calmly, "It's fine. You'll get used to it." Get used to what? I hadn't answered then, but looking back now, everything felt hauntingly strange. An overwhelming sense of insecurity washed over her. The assistant arrived at the hospital, holding the box she had requested. Lu Ruyan took the gift, staring at the small red box. She shook it twice. It felt weightless. The assistant reported, "Miss, I have begun looking into Mr. G's whereabouts, but I still need more time." Lu Ruyan didn't look up, only whispering, "Find him as fast as possible." She opened the box. When she saw the divorce petition and the finalized divorce certificate inside, she froze. It felt as if someone had struck her over the head. She went numb, nearly laughing out of sheer spite. She couldn't understand what game I was playing. A man with no living parents like me was actually playing at running away from home and leaving a divorce certificate behind? Even anger should have its limits. But very quickly, her eyes caught the date signed on the divorce papers. It was the exact day Su Huayu returned to the country. A wave of dizziness crashed over her. Lu Ruyan fainted on the spot from the sheer shock and rage. Even as she slipped into unconsciousness, she couldn't believe I truly wanted to divorce her. Terrified, the assistant screamed for a doctor, calling Lu Ruyan's name repeatedly. Medical staff rushed in to take her to the emergency room. At that moment, my plane had just landed in Australia. The first thing I did upon disembarking was reflexively reach for my phone to text Lu Ruyan. I froze. I was divorced. We were no longer connected. Opening WeChat with my new number and seeing a completely blank interface, a sense of surrealism washed over me, as if I were being submerged by a giant wave. I confirmed once more, I was truly divorced. I had left Lu Ruyan, and I had ended the cycle of lies that had spanned all those years. I looked up, and in that moment, I resolved to start a completely new life in this country. I took a taxi to the house I had rented before leaving China. The landlady was very kind. Seeing me arrive alone from abroad, she invited me over for dinner. I didn't refuse. From my suitcase, I took out an expensive silk scarf and some tea I had brought from home. Dressed neatly, I headed to her house. The landlady's family welcomed me with immense warmth. They had spent hours preparing, from the carefully cooked dishes to the arrangement of the room. Everything was filled with warmth and hospitality. The walls were decorated with ribbons and banners, creating a festive atmosphere. The table was laden with delicious food, freshly baked Italian dishes, a smoky chicken pizza piled with toppings, fried chicken, fries, and even handmade noodles because they feared I wouldn't be used to Western food. They even prepared a small gift, a beautiful, warm blue and white blanket. Throughout the meal, the landlady and her family were incredibly hospitable, even suggesting that we make shared dinners a regular occurrence. That night, the conversation flowed effortlessly. They took the time to painstakingly advise me on the nuances of living here, patiently answering my endless questions until the early hours of the morning. Occasionally, the language barrier led to some comical misunderstandings, causing me to break into fits of laughter. The kind of genuine, boisterous laughter I hadn't experienced in years. The atmosphere was so thick with warmth that we felt less like strangers in a foreign land and more like old friends reuniting after a lifetime apart. Their genuine care touched me deeply, offering a kind of vibrant hospitality that made it hard to say goodbye. However, when the family gathered to watch television together, I politely excused myself and headed back to my quarters. Once home, I took my time washing up, enjoying a quiet bath followed by a few chapters of a book. This stillness, this profound sense of relaxation, gave me a feeling of relief I hadn't known in years. After finishing my nightly routine, I lay back on the bed and stared up at the pristine white ceiling. I looked around the small room. Though simple, it was decorated with such warmth and elegance. A sense of unprecedented contentment surged through me. Closing my eyes, I wondered briefly when Lu Ruyan would discover I was gone. But then I thought, even if she did find out, she would likely just feel relieved. After all, with me out of the picture, there was nothing left to stop her and her cousin from being together. I had seen it in those final days, the lingering affection Su Huayu still held for her. Especially now, with her willing to sacrifice a kidney for him, he was bound to be deeply moved. Perhaps Lu Ruyan had already achieved her heart's desire, finally nestled in the arms of the man she truly loved. Lost in these wandering thoughts, I drifted into a peaceful, dreamless sleep that lasted until dawn. Being new to Australia and still emotionally and physically drained from the turmoil back home, I wasn't ready to jump into work just yet. I decided to spend a few days simply unwinding. I attended a service at St. Mary's Cathedral. The tolling of the morning bells and the solemnity of the congregation brought a strange, beautiful peace to my soul. I joined a tour of the Art Gallery of New South Wales. Staring at the vibrant palettes on display felt like peering into a whole new world. Later, I went to the Sydney Opera House to see a production of Cinderella. Even though it was a fairy tale I knew by heart, seeing her overcome such cruelty to find her happily ever after moved me to tears. In the Blue Mountains National Park, I breathed in the crisp air and gazed at the deep blue lakes. I fed seagulls on the beach and even dragged myself out of bed at 6 in the morning to head to Port Stephens for whale watching. Right before my eyes, a massive blue whale breached the surface, its tail flinging a spray of shimmering droplets like a masterpiece of the natural world. The mist settled on my face and clothes, the cool sensation acting like a sudden clarity for my mind. I realized then how vast the world truly was, and how many beautiful things were still waiting for me. In that moment, I understood that for years, I had been trapped in Lou Ruyan's orbit, nearly losing my very self. I finally, fully let go of that one-sided love, a love that had been rooted in a lie from the very beginning. During the following days of my travels, I had the incredible luck of meeting a local girl who shared my wavelength. Our eyes met on a cruise ship, we struck up a conversation, and discovered we were kindred spirits. While having lunch in a sun-drenched French restaurant, this girl, Mary, noticed my unique perspective on wine. Enthusiastically, she invited me to come work at her family's vineyard. I was stunned. Although I had majored in viticulture and enology and possessed the technical knowledge, I hadn't officially worked in the industry since graduation. I hesitated. Do I really have the skills for this? Mary saw my doubt and was blunt. The way you perceive wine is special. I don't think anyone is better suited for this than you. Don't worry, I'll be there to help. Trust yourself. Her encouragement gave me the spark of confidence I needed. Looking at her warm, encouraging smile, I felt a glow in my chest. I gently apologized for my initial hesitation and solemnly accepted the offer. Meanwhile, Lou Ruyan was being wheeled out of the emergency room. Seeing no family members present, the doctor gave the assistant strict instructions. The patient just underwent major surgery. Under no circumstances should she be agitated. You must keep her emotions stable. The assistant nodded repeatedly, clutching the neatly folded divorce petition and certificate, standing there in miserable silence. One thought raced through his mind. What on earth are these two doing? The mistress gives up a kidney for an ex-boyfriend, and the master vanishes into thin air. His head felt like it was going to explode. It was too late for talk. All he could do was scramble to find my whereabouts. In her ward, Lou Ruyan slowly regained consciousness. As her memories returned, she thought of the items in the box, unable to accept them as reality. She stared blankly at the ceiling, feeling as if she were trapped in a nightmare. I hadn't just disappeared, I had divorced her. I had even cruelly given up on our child. But remembering that she was the one who had actually terminated the pregnancy, her face grew even paler. As the realization sank in piece by piece, panic took hold. Is anyone there? I want to go home. The assistant, startled, rushed into the room. Seeing her adamant about going home to find me, he had no choice but to pack her things, all while desperately trying to calm her down, fearing that her rage would lead to a physical relapse. Finally, Lou Ruyan returned home. Looking at the rooms that were once overflowing with life but were now hauntingly empty, her heart grew cold. Everything related to me was gone. Even the things we had prepared together for the child who would never be born. While in the hospital, she had remained stubborn. She believed I surely still loved her, that I had only left in a momentary fit of pique and would never truly abandon her. But this empty house was a louder reality than any words. I was truly gone. I had left behind every gift she had ever given me, I had left our child, and I had left her. She sat in silence for a long time on the sofa, her hand tracing her flat stomach, her eyes hollow. Never had her own home felt so alien and cold. Miss, I've checked with the master's family. There's no word of him. The assistant looked at her expression and asked tentatively, should we keep looking? Lou Ruyan let out a chilling laugh, the embers of her anger still burning. No need. If he wants to vanish, let him. It's not like I love him anyway. But on the way back to the hospital, her chest felt hollow, as if a piece of her heart had been carved out. Her mind was a tangled mess of thoughts, winding tighter and tighter until she felt she might break. She looked out at the city, and memories of me flooded back. Each fragment of memory was like a thick fog, blurry yet agonizingly clear. After a moment of hesitation, she finally spoke to the assistant. Gu Weizheng, keep investigating. Saying those words made her feel slightly better. Looking at her reflection in the car window, even she didn't know what she was thinking anymore. Clearly, from the beginning, she had only seen me as a replacement. She knew she had always loved Su Huayu. So why did the thought of my disappearance hurt this much? She couldn't understand it. She only knew that if she didn't keep looking, the suffocating pressure in her chest wouldn't go away. It must be because we were husband and wife for 2 years, she told herself. It must be because he is, after all, Su Huayu's cousin. If something really happened to him, I wouldn't know how to face Huayu. Yes, that had to be it. It had to be. As for me, out on the vineyard, I never expected things to go so smoothly. Not only was I handling the crucial blending processes, but I was also befriending local master winemakers. I even learned to cook several exquisite and beautiful local dishes. In my spare time, I often invited Mary to walk through the town. Under her guidance, my income grew significantly, and my English became increasingly fluent. My landlady, ever the gracious host, still invited me to parties and brought me small treats. In return, I began cooking Chinese and local fusion dishes, inviting her whole family over. I became more confident, more open. Whenever I spoke of the past, I realized I had become so much more detached. Sometimes, when recounting the interesting things I had been through, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. That sense of joy followed me everywhere I went. The landlady noted that I seemed like an entirely different person, showering me with endless praise. It was then I suddenly realized I had been in this foreign country for about a month. For the first time in my life, I felt time passing with such speed, simply because every day was filled with genuine happiness. In the past, if I made even the slightest mistake, Lu Ruyan would inevitably criticize me. Here, the phrase I heard most often was, "It's okay." Recently, Mary's sister was due to return. Mary spent 3 whole days preparing for her arrival, which piqued my curiosity. The moment I met Mary's sister was quite interesting. I was in the wine cellar, sampling various reds. Each bottle on the table bore its own unique name. I was focused on tasting and recording their flavor profiles, but halfway through, my fountain pen ran out of ink. Frowning slightly, I reflexively flicked the nib, but not a single drop emerged. Just as I was about to stand up in frustration to find an inkwell, I saw a woman approaching, wearing a form-fitting red dress with her hair perfectly styled. Her face was dotted with ink splatters, looking like tiny black flowers blooming across her fair skin. At the sight of this, I burst out laughing. Far from being embarrassed, the woman joined in, laughing heartily with me. Noticing her refined aura and the elegant dress that accentuated her silhouette, I assumed she was the expert Mary had mentioned. I hurried to offer her a damp tissue, apologizing profusely. Her eyes were a light brown, the exact shade of a salt lake I had once seen. Utterly beautiful. To my surprise, she took the tissue without a word of thanks and asked me directly, "What is your name? Can I pursue you?" The sudden question made me flush red, unsure of how to react. She then introduced herself as Giulia, Mary's sister, the one I had been expecting for days. I never imagined Mary's sister would appear like this, let alone claim it was love at first sight and ask to court me. In that moment, I felt like I was walking on clouds, completely at a loss for words. The woman before me was tall, with sharp features and a high bridge to her nose, a classic Western beauty. I complimented her beauty in English and mentioned that I worked as a winemaker at the vineyard. Realizing I was intentionally sidestepping the topic of courtship, Giulia didn't lose heart. Instead, she expressed her feelings even more candidly. Her directness was overwhelming. My face burned, my heart raced, and I couldn't find a way to respond. My pale face was instantly dyed a deep crimson. Thankfully, Mary walked in at that moment, breaking the awkward tension. However, the following morning, Giulia appeared at my workplace holding a massive bouquet of flowers. Knowing I couldn't hide any longer, I took her to a quiet spot to clear the air. "Giulia, it's true that I'm single, but it's impossible between us." Giulia looked at me with confusion. "Why is it impossible? Why not give us a chance?" Seeing her persistence, I explained patiently, "I am a divorcee. I have a former wife." Giulia was momentarily stunned, her eyes still full of doubt. She remained silent for a while, and when I didn't say anything more, she asked, "Is that it? Is that the only reason you're rejecting me?" My eyes widened in shock. "Only that? Isn't that enough?" Giulia smiled again. "What era do you think this is? It would be strange if a handsome man like you had never loved anyone. I like you for who you are right now. Your past doesn't matter to me. Trust me." It felt as if something had gently nudged my heart. A wave of warmth spread through my body. I looked at the girl smiling at me, and my heart beat faster and faster. Julia even dragged me away from my work to go out. I thought Mary would object, but to my surprise, she pulled money from her pocket, handed it to Julia, and joked, "Take good care of him for me." Her eyes were full of encouragement and mischief, which only added to my embarrassment. Though it was late autumn, the sunlight that day was gorgeous. Julia wasn't like Lu Ruyan, who only knew how to take me to malls to pick out a few random outfits and call it a date. Julia took me all the way to the beach. The deep blue sea brought a salty breeze that puffed up my shirt. Julia immediately took off her coat and draped it over my shoulders. She wore only a thin dress, her light brown curls dancing in the wind. Her eyes, clear as lake water, sparkled under the sun like the purest blue gemstones. For a long moment, I couldn't help but stare at her, mesmerized. Then, Julia grabbed my hand and we sprinted across the sand. The feeling of the soft, warm sand beneath my feet was magical. She pulled me straight toward the water's edge. The wet sand glistened before us as the waves rolled in. Julia smiled at me and suddenly bent down to remove my shoes. The sudden warmth of the gesture left me stunned. I could only do as she said, resting my hand on her shoulder as she leaned over. Before I knew it, she was holding my foot. While I was still in shock, she had removed one shoe along with the sock. "If you don't take them off, they'll get soaked," Julia told me seriously. I hurried to remove the other one myself. When my bare feet touched the fine, soft sand, I couldn't hide my amazement. It felt wonderful. Julia pulled me along as we ran on the beach. The strong sea breeze rushed into my clothes and out again, leaving my body feeling weightless as I sprinted through the wind. Running, the sport I used to hate most, now felt like something I wanted to experience forever. This run on the beach felt like a total liberation of my soul. I didn't care about the stares of others, I just kept running in circles. Not far away, Julia watched me with a radiant smile and splashed seawater toward me. The pale pink light of the sunset spilled over us. Amidst the shimmering spray of water, which looked like flecks of silver and gold, the image of the other person was etched deeply into our eyes. Today marked exactly 1 month since the surgery. Lu Ruyan had stayed at the hospital to care for Su Huayu until his discharge. However, Su Huayu had noticed long ago that I was never by her side. "Why hasn't Ji Boda come?" he asked. Lu Ruyan's eyes flickered with hesitation. She forced a smile and said, "He's been sick and it's not convenient for him to go out, so I didn't let him come." Su Huayu didn't suspect a thing. He nodded and asked her to sit down, saying seriously, "Treat Ji Boda well from now on. Let the past stay in the past, okay?" Lu Ruyan lowered her head to avoid his gaze, gave a soft reply, and stepped forward to help him sit up. She peeled an apple with great care, feeding it to him slice by slice. In the days that followed, she came to the hospital every day, sometimes bringing nutritious meals and black chicken soup, other times watching television with him. Every evening, Su Huayu would say, "Go home. It's almost dinner time. I'm feeling much better, it's not right to leave Ji Boda home alone." As time passed, Su Huayu began to realize that Lu Ruyan seemingly didn't want to go home. Gradually, he sensed something was wrong but remained silent, wanting to preserve these peaceful, happy days, a feeling he hadn't experienced in a long time. That weekend, Su Huayu saw a couple walking hand in hand in the hospital canteen. The wife was pregnant, her face glowing with a happy smile. When he saw Lu Ruyan again, he couldn't help but ask, "Lu Ruyan, has something happened to Ji Boda? Why hasn't he visited me even once? And your complexion has been terrible lately. Has something gone wrong?" Reflexively, Lu Ruyan replied, "No, he's just not in good health and has some difficulty moving around. But even so, he should have called me at least once in all these days." Su Huayu's brow furrowed as he grew more suspicious. "Did you two have a fight?" The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. His voice turned stern. "What is really going on? Tell me the truth." Seeing Lu Ruyan trying to evade him again, Su Huayu grew frustrated. "Call Ji Boda right now." Lu Ruyan could only clutch her head. Finally, dejectedly, she confessed that we had divorced. Hearing this, Su Huayu's eyes filled with pain and guilt. He clenched his fist and slammed it against the bed. "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have come back. If I had stayed abroad, none of this would have happened. It's all because of me." He then asked hurriedly, "So where is Ji Boda now?" Lu Ruyan could only sigh. Seeing Su Huayu's worried face and tightly knit brows, her guilt deepened. It's all on me, it has nothing to do with you. But shortly after, she placed her hand on Su Huayu's. The heat of her touch made him reflexively try to pull away, but she held on. When their eyes met, Lu Ruyan could see the inner conflict raging in his gaze. Huayu, I want to be with you, Lu Ruyan said. Su Huayu shook his head, looking tormented. We can't be together. Lu Ruyan didn't let him finish, she pulled him into a hug. Within that familiar embrace, Su Huayu's resolve began to crumble. After a moment of struggle, he finally wrapped his arms around her in return. During the days in the hospital, Lu Ruyan often pulled Su Huayu to watch movies with her, gripping his hand tightly in the darkness. When a horror film came on, knowing he was easily frightened, she would cover his eyes just as she had when they were university students. She insisted on doing everything for him personally, climbing 6 flights of stairs every day just to fetch him the best hot water. She even meticulously tended to the fresh bouquets he brought. In the late afternoons, she would wheel him out to the hospital courtyard for fresh air, occasionally standing by his side to watch the elderly men play chess under the setting sun. In that golden light, they looked like any ordinary, devoted couple. But Su Huayu noticed that Lu Ruyan was often lost in a trance. Sometimes she would stare blankly at pregnant women, other times, she was submerged in distant thoughts. At first, he thought she was merely exhausted, but today he caught her standing motionless, watching a couple eating cotton candy. The girl was beaming, while the boy turned away with an expression of playful annoyance. Su Huayu suddenly remembered an afternoon after the wedding when Lu Ruyan had taken me to the mall. She had bought 2 outfits for me, but I hadn't shown much interest. As we passed a cotton candy stall, she noticed my eyes linger on the sweets and bought one for me. I had lit up instantly, trying to get her to take a bite. She had adamantly refused, declaring she'd never buy it for me again, and I finally relented. But as I ate, my eyes had curved into crescents of pure joy. Thinking she was simply craving the treat, Su Huayu smiled and said, "Why are you acting like a child? If you want some, go buy a stick." But Lu Ruyan shook her head. Ji Boda liked those, she said before quickly adding, "I just happened to remember." Su Huayu saw through it but said nothing. That night, when he woke up to use the restroom, he heard Lu Ruyan whispering in her sleep from the cot next to his. "Ji Boda, why did you leave?" That instinctive murmur left Su Huayu in a long, pensive silence. He looked at the woman sleeping under the pale moonlight and sighed softly. In that quiet moment, he made up his mind to return where he belonged, back to Paris. The next morning, Su Huayu sent Lu Ruyan to pick up some arriving relatives while he quietly finalized his discharge papers. Before leaving, he left a letter. When Lu Ruyan returned with the relatives and found the bed empty, save for an envelope resting on the sheets, she understood immediately. She tore it open to find Su Huayu's handwriting. "Ruyan, haven't you actually loved Ji Boda for a long time? You just haven't realized it yet. Can't you feel it? You're always thinking of him. No one can replace those years you spent together. Don't hesitate anymore. Go to Australia and find him. As for me, I'm going to start a new life too." Lu Ruyan held the letter, her gaze blurred and heavy with emotion. She stared at his handwriting for a long time, unable to process the truth. Did I truly love her? Lu Ruyan and I had lived together for 3 years, 2 of them as husband and wife. We had never had a single blowout fight, we never missed a gift or an anniversary. Whether in our daily routines or behind closed doors, we were perfectly synchronized. Like any ordinary couple, we knew each other's habits and quirks inside out. She knew I was the type to be hard on the outside but soft on the inside. She knew I had to sleep with a light on to feel safe. She knew I disliked seafood but adored shrimp. She understood the meaning behind my every unconscious gesture. Even when she intentionally ignored things out of laziness, I never blamed her. Instead, I would often massage her shoulders. During those years, I had prepared a bath for her every single night. Lu Ruyan always felt that time moved too fast back then. She still vividly remembered the day she proposed to me. The weather had been miserable, overcast with a persistent drizzle. Lu Ruyan had hesitated, wondering if she should propose on such a bleak day. But when I accidentally discovered the decorated venue, my face had radiated such pure joy that it felt like the sun had broken through the clouds. In that moment, she decided to go through with it. Such a simple setup had been enough to make me feel completely fulfilled. Back then, she hadn't even let me prepare a proper suit. Even when I teased her later about being caught off guard, I had happily pulled her into a tight embrace, whispering a phrase as light as the wind, "I do." Lu Ruyan remembered spinning me around 3 times right there. We had once cycled across a sea-crossing bridge, shouting into the wind to tell the world we were together and would be happy forever. Those memories played out before her eyes like a film. Then came the marriage, decorating the wedding venue together, the headaches of choosing furniture for our new home. So many sunsets spent teasing and bickering playfully. I cooked for her. At first, the food was too salty, but through my efforts, it became delicious. I had gone to the market with both sets of parents and even learned acupressure and acupuncture to care for her parents' health. I was always smiling, always optimistic, as if joy would never leave my life. The memories of me flooded Lu Ruyan's mind like a dam breaking. She remembered me, the man who could be happy all day with just a stick of cotton candy. The man who always surrendered when she teased him, who pouted when he was annoyed, and who always looked at her with a smile, waiting for a bit of comfort. She had met so many versions of me. But now, they all seemed to be gone. At that thought, Lu Ruyan felt as if a piece of her heart had been ripped out. The sense of panic and despair made her entire body tremble. She immediately ordered her assistant to book the earliest flight to Australia. In that moment, her mind was set. She had to apologize, she had to confess, she had to find me. Lu Ruyan arrived in Australia and found me at the vineyard where I was working. I was standing in front of the wine cellar, holding a brown fabric-covered notebook. My hair was longer now, slightly curled and dyed brown, unlike how it had been back home. Wearing a crisp, neatly pressed uniform, I was quietly checking the barrels. My gaze was calm and focused, nothing like the G. Boda she used to know. I was bent over, scribbling notes. This composed, professional side of me was something she had never seen. My mature, orderly appearance left her standing frozen. The moment she saw me, she realized just how much she had missed me. She felt like an intruder, a person suddenly shattering the peace and stability of the man before her. Just one more step would break the silence. But she knew if she didn't speak, she would regret it forever. G. Boda, I came here to apologize. The moment I realized it was Lu Ruyan, my expression shifted instantly. I turned to walk away. Lu Ruyan rushed forward, her hand trembling as she caught my arm, gripping it tight as if afraid I would vanish from her world again. She needed to touch me to be sure I was real. I don't want to hear it, I said, firmly prying her fingers off my arm one by one. As her fingers were forced back, Lu Ruyan stared at me, trying to etch every feature of my face into her memory. I looked a bit thinner, but my complexion was much better. Even the tiny mole near my eye looked so familiar and dear. But that face was now full of wariness and fear. I lowered my head, feeling her grip loosen. A surge of insecurity and panic made me almost lose control. She spoke with frantic urgency. G. Boda, can you give me one more chance? Just then, my landlady, who had been carrying a watering can to tend the flowers, ran out from behind. The vineyard wasn't far from my quarters, and I was standing in the yard. Seeing me being harassed by a woman, she cried out in alarm. G. Boda, I'm coming. The landlady, a woman of substantial build, charged straight toward us. She used her shoulder to forcefully shove Lu Ruyan aside. Lu Ruyan gasped in pain, stumbling backward until she nearly hit the wall, her legs almost giving out. She barely managed to keep her balance. Who do you think you are, pestering him like this? Watch it, or I'll handle you myself. The landlady swung her watering can like a weapon, shielding me like a mother hen protecting her chick. She looked majestic and full of fire. I am G. Boda's wife, Lu Ruyan explained hurriedly. I countered immediately, ex-wife. We divorced a long time ago. I proactively grabbed the landlady's hand to emphasize the point. Not knowing the complexities of our past, the landlady glanced between Lu Ruyan and me. Seeing the tension and panic on my face, she immediately understood that I desperately wanted to avoid this woman. Without another word, she stepped forward and swung the heavy watering can without hesitation, aiming for Lu Ruyan. Caught off guard by the woman's actual violence, Lu Ruyan couldn't react in time and was struck on the arm. The pain made her recoil several steps. The watering can was heavy, and a few more hits would surely leave her bruised. Lu Ruyan didn't dare approach further, only shouting from a distance. G. Boda, I really came to apologize. But the words had barely left her mouth before the landlady surged forward again, swinging the can. Lu Ruyan scrambled to dodge, pushed back even further. Chased away and stumbling, her head turning back repeatedly, Lu Ruyan finally retreated. I stood there, my chest tightening as if being squeezed. Just the sight of her made my entire body stiffen with fear and unease. I quietly tugged on the landlady's sleeve and bowed my head to thank her. She looked at me and gently patted my hand, comforting me. Don't be afraid, dear. You're a good boy. If I see that kind of person again, I'll hit them again. I nodded, moved by her kindness, and the tears in my eyes softened. That was right. I wasn't the old G Boda anymore. I wasn't lonely, and I wasn't abandoned. Meanwhile, in the distance, Lu Ruyan stood watching us. Our silhouettes eventually shrank into two small black dots before disappearing from her sight. G Boda must just be very angry, she told herself. Surely he won't really leave me behind. Lu Ruyan comforted herself with those thoughts and called to book a hotel room nearby, planning to rest for a while before strategizing her next move. She convinced herself that since G Boda loved her so much, he couldn't possibly have abandoned her entirely. Back at the landlady's house, I sat down and told her the entire story. The evening glow filtered through the window, flooding the room. As she listened, the landlady's eyes glistened with heartbreak and pity. She stood up and gently pulled me into a hug, patting my back to comfort me. G Boda, don't be sad anymore. It's all over now. I had been trying so hard to suppress my tears, but in that warm embrace, the bitterness in my heart suddenly shattered. I couldn't hold back anymore. The tears began to spill out, drop by drop, becoming a torrent. All the fear, despair, and suffocation I had accumulated over the years felt like a broken dam, flowing out uncontrollably. Tears streamed down my cheeks in endless lines. The landlady continued to soothe me. Why shouldn't you cry? Everyone has moments of weakness. For 3 years, I spent every single day loving her. We went through so much together. Those memories are carved into my heart. A single spark and a storm of memories comes crashing back. I gave up my dreams and my career. I returned to her side the moment I graduated. I was so full of hope, only to realize it was all just an act. From beginning to end, I was nothing but a replacement, a shadow. Even the child I so desperately longed for was just a tool to her, a way to compensate for her love for that other man. Everything I gave with all my heart was, in her eyes, meant for Su Huayu. Everything in her heart is attached to his name. Why did I have to endure this? Why, in the end, did everything turn into nothing? I don't know how long I cried. When I finally opened my eyes, the world was still a watery blur. The room was now bathed in a gentle twilight. The warm golden light made everything before me appear clearer and softer. My tears slowly dried. Every emotion bottled up in my chest seemed to be soothed by the sunlight. The damp, gloomy feelings vanished completely. The next day, I went to work as usual. But Lu Ruyan had arrived at the vineyard early, even specifically requesting that I be the one to assist her. I couldn't refuse a customer's request, so I had to lead her on a tour and provide explanations. Being this close to me, Lu Ruyan realized I knew far more about wine than she had ever imagined. She felt both alienated and curious. "Why do you know so much about wine?" she asked. I answered coldly, "I studied viticulture and enology in university." That single, indifferent sentence felt like a punch to her chest. It turned out that in 3 years together, she had never truly known me. A sour ache crept into her heart. Finally, it was time to clock out. As soon as I handed over my duties, I saw Lu Ruyan waiting at the vineyard gate. I hadn't even taken a few steps before she approached, saying she wanted to invite me to dinner. I took 2 steps back and bluntly refused. "I already have plans." But Lu Ruyan grabbed my arm anyway. I started to feel annoyed. Just as I was trying to find a way to shake her off, I saw Mary and Julia walking toward me. Reflexively, I looked toward them. Mary called out loudly, "G Boda." Lu Ruyan was still talking incessantly, paying no attention to the others. Her hand gripped mine tightly, her voice urgent. "G Boda, let's just have one meal. Can't we just talk things out clearly once?" Mary, losing her patience, immediately pulled me toward her, shielding me completely. Julia stood to the side, her sharp, cold eyes staring at Lu Ruyan as if trying to look right through her. "I've never seen a woman so lacking in grace," Julia said icily, stepping in front of Mary and me. Lu Ruyan looked up at Julia, her confidence instantly faltering, but she still snapped back, "I am his wife. I just want to speak privately with my husband. This is a family matter. Please step aside." Julia turned to look at me, and seeing me shake my head, she understood everything. Without hesitation, she placed a hand on Lu Ruyan's shoulder, her gaze provocative. "Ex-wife, right? Please get a grip on your actual status. G Boda doesn't want to see you, yet you're thick-skinned enough to keep stalking him. Aren't you embarrassed?" Julia's biting words turned Lu Ruyan's face ashen. For a moment, she didn't know how to argue back, only managing to call out, "G Boda." But I ignored her completely. Mary pulled me away immediately. I didn't even look back. Mary leaned in and whispered with a chuckle, "Let the women handle women's business. Now, let's go to dinner." I hesitated slightly, glancing back reflexively. Mary gripped my hand tighter. "If even my sister can't handle her, then she isn't worthy of pursuing you." Her arrogant expression made me let out an involuntary laugh. The dark clouds in my heart vanished instantly. "Who are you? Why are you interfering in our business?" Lu Ruyan tried to chase after us, but Gelia blocked her path. Gelia remained perfectly calm, lightly patting Lu Ruyan's shoulder with an air of nonchalance. "I am the person pursuing Ji Boda. You might as well go home. He belongs to me now." Lu Ruyan was completely blindsided by such an answer and flew into a rage. She sized Gelia up from head to toe, the perfectly tailored clothes, the tall stature that stood nearly half a head taller than her, and the subtle muscle tone visible under her sleeves. Gelia didn't look like someone who was easily intimidated. "Ji Boda will never like you," Lu Ruyan said firmly, still believing that my type could only be someone like her. "Do you really think he'd leave someone as beautiful as me to like an old woman like you?" Her eyes bulged. Though she knew Gelia was 6 years older than me, Lu Ruyan was always confident because she maintained her appearance meticulously, dressing elegantly and keeping in peak shape every day. "This is the aura of a mature woman. What would you know about it? Ji Boda likes exactly my type." Gelia ignored Lu Ruyan's insults entirely, physically pushing her away from the vineyard entrance and dusting off her hands. Following Gelia's lead, the workers standing nearby stepped forward to pull Lu Ruyan away, tossing her right out the front gate. "If you dare come back again, I'll throw you out again," Gelia said firmly. "This place is my home, and it is Ji Boda's too." With that, she slammed the vineyard gate shut. Locked out, Lu Ruyan pounded on the door frantically, but there was no response from inside. She had no choice but to kick the gate in anger before turning to leave. Meanwhile, Gelia had driven her stylish convertible to the restaurant with great flair. As soon as she appeared, I looked at her with concern. But Gelia clearly handled these things with ease. Sensing my worried gaze, she sat in the chair next to me with a radiant smile. Gelia's eyes were bright and unshielded, fixed squarely on me. "Helping the one I love deal with trouble is the basic duty of a pursuer." Coming from such a beautiful face, those words made my skin flush. I felt my heart thumping wildly, and I instinctively looked away. But Gelia seemed delighted by this, continuing to watch me with fascination. "You really do like me." Her burning gaze was so obvious that even Mary broke into laughter. "I think Gelia is truly obsessed with you," Mary teased. "From the moment she walked through the door, her eyes haven't left you. She didn't even bother to greet me, her own sister." I was instantly flustered, unsure of how to react, so I just lowered my head and focused on eating. Gelia shot Mary a warning look, signaling for her to stop. Mary just bit her spoon, watching us and laughing nonstop. After dinner, Mary made an excuse about a party, and Gelia quickly offered to drive me home. On the way back, she sang for me. Her voice was unique, clear, with a lazy yet tender quality that made me start humming along. Gelia also introduced me to several great songs, each melody warm and easy to listen to. Amidst the soft music, we chatted about recent events. Whatever I said, Gelia had an interesting reaction, always offering a perspective I hadn't considered. When I mentioned that the vineyard was looking for a promotional ambassador, she said immediately, "You are the perfect person for it." When I complained that the landlady's flowers were blooming so beautifully lately and that I wanted to buy some but didn't know which varieties were easy to grow, Gelia simply replied, "You don't need to worry. No matter the flower, as long as you tend to them, they will eventually end up just like you, radiant and full of life." Every word she spoke was an affirmation, a compliment that never felt like mere social flattery. Each syllable was so sincere that I didn't dare look her in the eye. Whenever our gazes met, I felt pulled into those dark depths, unable to escape, my face flushing crimson. We talked as we walked, parking the car a short distance from my house to stroll the rest of the way together. Under the amber glow of the streetlights, our silhouettes moved side by side, laughter and conversation flowing easily. We stole glances at each other. My eyes drifted toward Gelia instinctively, a gentle, irrepressible smile playing on my lips. But there, hidden in the shadows nearby, Lu Ruyan stood watching us in silence. A fierce bitterness surged within her, her hands clenched into white-knuckled fists. She stepped out, blocking our path. Gelia, surprised by her return, immediately moved to shield me, but I stopped her. I gently took Gelia's hand and whispered, "We can't keep going on like this. Let me handle this myself, okay?" Julia nodded but remained steadfastly close by, waiting. My heart warmed at her protective stance, which gave me the courage to face what was ahead. I looked Lu Ruyan straight in the eye, my voice steady. Let's settle this once and for all. Lu Ruyan followed me into the small house. We took seats by the window. I reflexively glanced outside to where Julia stood. She gave me a small wave. Seeing this interaction, Lu Ruyan felt a sharp pang of resentment. I thought you had ended up with your cousin, I said bluntly. I didn't beat around the bush. If I was just a replacement, and you loved him enough to give him your kidney, why aren't the two of you together? The words were soft, yet they left Lu Ruyan speechless. She didn't know how to respond. I stood up to pour her a glass of water, my eyes still drifting toward Julia. She was looking down at the ground as if deep in thought. It turned out she was hanging on to every word I said. Lu Ruyan took a deep breath and spoke with raw sincerity. Boda, I'm sorry. But I truly do love you. After you left, everything felt empty. I finally seen my own heart. The one I love is you. I hadn't expected this. I looked at her with a hint of surprise but remained silent. She glanced nervously at Julia through the window before rushing to continue. I hope you can give me a chance. I'll start over. I'll pursue you properly, treat you well. Weren't those 2 years we spent together wonderful? I shook my head, took a sip of water, and replied slowly. It's too late. I don't love you at all anymore. I only agreed to talk today to extinguish any hope you had left. Lu Ruyan, can you please leave Australia? Get out of my life entirely. Your presence is nothing but a heavy burden to me now. Unwilling to let go, Lu Ruyan pointed toward the door. Is it because of that foreign woman? Is she why you won't come back to me? My expression darkened, my voice laced with sarcasm. You're overthinking it. Even without her, I would never go back. But it's true, she is wonderful. I enjoy being with her. I want to try again with her. Lu Ruyan turned ashen. In my eyes, there is only Julia now. She felt a wave of bitterness as if she were swallowing the dregs of a harsh tea. She knew then that she had run out of chances. Eyes don't lie. From start to finish, the way I looked at her was filled with nothing but cold exhaustion. But the way I looked at Julia was tender and resolute. Lu Ruyan wanted to fight one last time, but she couldn't find a single reason to hold me back. Seeing her mouth open to speak again, I pulled out my phone and called Julia. My voice was calm. Julia, I've said everything that needs to be said. You can come in now. It was the ultimate dismissal. The last flickering flame of hope in Lu Ruyan's heart was extinguished. Her pride lay in tatters, leaving her unable to utter another word. She stood abruptly, bolted from the room, and drove frantically back to her hotel. She packed her bags in a blur and headed straight for the airport. At the terminal, she sat despondently waiting for her flight, looking utterly haggard. She understood clearly that there was nothing left between her and Boda, and that she was the sole architect of her own ruin. The thought of Julia and me being together at that very moment felt like a weight crushing her chest, making it hard to breathe. Lu Ruyan decided to let go of everything and return home. Upon her return, she threw herself into work with a manic intensity, the first to arrive and the last to leave. Once home, she drank herself into a stupor, trying to numb the pain. Every day, her assistant had to come over to clean up the chaos. Seeing Lu Ruyan slumped on the sofa, muttering my name in her sleep, the assistant could only sigh. If only you hadn't done what you did. You brought this on yourself. Meanwhile, I was standing in the middle of a vibrant field of flowers. I wore a white suit, bowing my head slightly as Julia helped me adjust my tie. Under the sun, she confessed her feelings once more. The moment I saw you, I knew you were the most handsome man I'd ever met. That hasn't changed. I truly, deeply like you. Can we take the next step and become a couple, Boda? I had heard her confessions many times. Each one was heartfelt, and I felt the weight of her sincerity. Over the days we'd spent together, truth be told, I had been ready to say yes for a long time. In the warm sunlight, I proactively took Julia's hand. Feeling a bit shy, I gave a soft nod. The landlady's family and Mary immediately burst into cheers and applause, singing joyfully around us. Julia pulled me into a fierce embrace. Pink petals drifted down from above, marking the opening chords of a new chapter in our lives. I could only think, it's so good. I'm so glad I had the courage to start over. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. The vineyard released a new red wine that I had helped develop, named Rebirth. It sold out instantly. The buyer was none other than Lu Ruyan. She had been tracking the news and bought up every bottle available in a single order. When the wine arrived, Lu Ruyan opened a bottle immediately. With every sip, she remembered me. Every look, every smile we shared in that house, even our kisses. She drowned herself in nostalgia, alternating between tears and laughter. One by one, the bottles were drained. If not for the lies of the past, would we be here now, holding each other and our child, sharing a glass of wine in a peaceful home? Perhaps things wouldn't have ended like this. As she drifted in thought, a sharp pain suddenly bloomed in her abdomen. Her face turned deathly pale, and dark red blood spilled from her mouth. Lu Ruyan collapsed instantly. It wasn't until her assistant entered the house that she was found unconscious. He rushed her to the emergency room, but the doctor's diagnosis was staggering. Lu Ruyan had end-stage liver cancer. At the same time, Julia was hugging me, grumbling playfully. "That spiteful woman dared to buy up all your wine. I really want to fly over there and give her a piece of my mind." I laughed, about to comfort her, when she suddenly looked smug and proud. "Fortunately, I kept a special bottle, the one we blended together. It's the only one in the world. No matter how much she drinks, it won't be worth a single sip of this one." I could only shake my head and smile, gently nudging her. Why did she become so childlike after falling in love? But the smile on my lips wouldn't fade as I watched her. Before the afternoon was over, Julia went out for work. I had wanted to spend our rare day off watching television together, so I felt a bit disappointed. But as dinner time approached, Julia returned and told me to dress up for a night out. She had bought me a closet full of new, perfectly fitted clothes, making me think we were meeting someone important. My heart hammered with nerves, but Julia remained mysterious, refusing to explain. Only when the car stopped did I realize Julia had brought me home. "Go on," she said, taking my hand and leading me inside. I was stunned. The house was draped in twinkling lights, glowing with a romantic warmth. On the wall was a massive photo gallery of every memory we'd made. The landlady, Mary, and our close colleagues were all there. "Gee Boda, I haven't slept well for nights preparing for today." "Mary even made fun of me," Julia said, pulling a velvet box from her pocket. She opened it to reveal a ring set with a shimmering diamond, surrounded by lilies, my favorite flower. "Gee Boda, I know it's rare for a woman to propose to a man, but I couldn't wait any longer. Will you marry me?" Amidst the applause and cheers of our friends, I felt like I was floating. With trembling hands, I accepted the ring, tears of happiness falling. I nodded, accepting Julia's proposal. The news of Lu Ruyan's liver cancer spread like wildfire. Su Huayu rushed back from Paris, and the moment he saw her unconscious on the hospital bed, her lips still murmuring my name, he understood everything. He called me immediately. "Lu Ruyan has end-stage liver cancer. She doesn't have much time left. She keeps calling for you. Whatever happened, you were husband and wife once. Can't you come back to see her off one last time?" I was momentarily stunned, but more than shock, I felt a sense of detachment, as if I were listening to a story about a total stranger. I watched Julia, who was picking out wedding dresses with her family, and my heart already held the answer. I gripped the phone and said calmly, "I am not coming back." Su Huayu, stunned by my decisiveness, sounded incredulous. "How can you be so heartless? You were a couple for years. She's in this state because of you." I hung up immediately, unwilling to waste another word on him. Sensing my slight change in mood, Julia took my hand and asked softly, "Who was that?" I shook my head. "No one. Just someone unimportant." "You two, come over here and see which one is better." Mary suddenly cut into our conversation, waving a necklace as she walked toward us. "I think mine is much prettier. What do you think?" She held out the delicate piece. "This one is more intricate. The one Mom picked looks too old-fashioned." I laughed, pulling Julia closer. "Let me have a look." At that same moment, Lu Ruyan was finding it increasingly difficult to breathe. She knew with terrifying clarity that the end was near. The air around her was thick with the sound of constant weeping. Her blurred vision could only make out the distorted, grieving face of her assistant and Su Huayu, who was sobbing uncontrollably. In her final fever dream, she closed her eyes. She dreamed that Ji Boda and she had never divorced, that they were still living their lives together. In the dream, I was standing not far away. "You've made a mistake again. Didn't you put the slippers away? My stomach hurts today, yet I still have to bend over because of these shoes." She smiled and walked over, bending down to align the slippers perfectly before turning to wrap her arms around me, standing on her tiptoes to steal a kiss. "Hubby, our daughter was so good today." I smiled back at her, patting her shoulder. If it's a girl, what do you think we should name her? Lu Ruyan thought about it seriously. How about Lu Aizheng? I made a face and shook my head instantly. That name is terrible. Then, the scene shifted to the delivery room, where Lu Ruyan gave birth to a healthy 8-pound baby girl. The infant was wrinkled at first, but she quickly learned how to smile. I named her Ji Ruan, a name that felt gentle and warm. As Ji Ruan grew, she learned to walk, developed a love for pink princess dresses, and a stubborn hatred for vegetables. Every time they went out, she would grip Lu Ruyan's hand, babbling incessantly. Her first word was Papa, and soon she was clearly calling me Papa Boda. Every weekend, the three of us would stroll through the plaza below our home. Ji Ruan even learned to ride a bicycle with our help. Passers-by always commented on how adorable she was, saying she looked exactly like her mother and would surely grow up to be a beauty. But Ji Ruan would just tug on Lu Ruyan's hand and say proudly, "My papa is handsome too." Under the glow of the sunset, the three of us walked leisurely, the air echoing with our happy laughter. A tender smile remained fixed on Lu Ruyan's lips. At that exact moment, her heart stopped. The flat line on the EKG monitor marked the end. Meanwhile, I was standing in the middle of a path lined with pure white flowers inside a grand chapel. Dressed in an elegant tuxedo, I turned toward Julia. Clad in a gown of pristine white, she began her slow, graceful walk toward my side.